haven't been tuning in, we do this every Friday at this time, and we try to talk about things related to AI, crypto in general, what people are working on. And if anyone hasn't been following along in the news, Hermes Agent is a new multi-agent orchestration platform that really has starting to compete with OpenClaw. And here at Edge and Node and at Ampersand, we have built a direct integration. So we're going to try to set that up on a Hermes agent that we have running on a machine. We're going to try to do some X402 payments and get that configured. But again, if you're new here, please make sure that you're following the accounts. We have Edge and Node is a great account for you to follow on X. Also, we have ampersand_AI. Please follow that. Make sure you have notifications on because we always live stream to Edge and Node every single Friday, again at this time. And we also stream to YouTube. So if you're on YouTube and you prefer that, we have a playlist of all of the previous sessions that you can go on and watch previous sessions where we have guests and do different workshops and just really just come on and talk about AI and crypto. So very excited today. We're going to be, again, talking about Hermes. So without further ado, let's kind of get right into it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And we'll share the entire screen here. And let's see, there we go. Cool. So let's look up Hermes Agent first and kind of just talk a little bit about it. So Nous Research is a AI company that's kind of been working on a lot of different AI tools, but most recently Hermes Agent kind of gained a lot of attention, right? And I think some of the main differences is that you can set up Hermes inside of Docker, which is quite interesting. I think people have been trying to figure out OpenClaw, how you can kind of run it in an isolated environment. But I think Hermes is a little bit more secure in that realm because it can do Docker isolation. And then there's a lot of really interesting plugins that are spinning up now that have been around for OpenClaw, but now people are building with Hermes Agent. One of the examples would be BlockRun AI. They have an integration that I have actually set up as well. So we're actually using BlockRun AI to do all of our LLM inference for Hermes, which is really cool. You essentially replace having to have like an API key, and you're just paying for all of your LLM inference over USDC, right, on Base. So that's really cool. So Hermes is available, open source, MIT license. Anybody can really set this up. It's really actually quite easy to set up. This is the GitHub repo. I believe they actually have a website. Here we go. Yeah, Hermes Agent. Really, really cool looking website. And it's very easy to set up. All you have to do is just run this really quick install. And then it's actually going to automatically spin up the configuration for you. Let me kind of zoom that in. It's a little hard to read. But essentially, you're going to, just run this curl command, set up Hermes. It's going to kind of walk you through, choosing what model you want to use. There's kind of like a more quick setup, and then there's more advanced setup. So it really just depends on what you want to do. And then you can plug it into your favorite kind of chat interface, right? Telegram probably being the most popular and most usable. And we have that set up, so we should be able to use Telegram as well. But we're going to kind of try to use Hermes in the CLI at first, and we'll kind of like see, what's going on with it. So we already have Hermes kind of set up here as well. So what we're going to do is SSH into the server that I have Hermes running on. If you don't have, if you don't feel comfortable putting this on your own machine, a lot of people are getting like Mac minis. I really don't think that's necessary. You could just get a cloud instance and use that. There's just tons of options for that. You can use DigitalOcean Droplet. You can use whatever cloud provider that you really feel comfortable with, Google, AWS, doesn't really matter. And you don't really need a lot of memory, but probably want to have like 2 gigs of memory, maybe like 2 CPUs. I guess in general, like multi-agent orchestration tools can use a lot of memory and a lot of CPU usage. Then obviously, like if it's in the cloud, it's going to have, really good, reliable internet as well. I'm running this on another machine that I have, but it really is kind of up to you how you want to do it. So to start up Hermes, you really just type Hermes and you kind of get this chat interface, which is, if anyone's used OpenClaw, it's very similar. And what we can do, I accidentally closed out of it. Let me go back in there. we can just like prompt whatever we want into Hermes, and it's going to, do whatever you need. There's all sorts of different commands that you can run to configure or do whatever you need to. You can hook up an MCP server. So you can see here, like I have the OneClaw MCP server, which is for all my like secrets management. And so, yeah, there's really, really cool integrations, and it's really useful. And it looks very similar to Claude Code as well, if you're using Claude Code in a very similar experience. But what we're going to do is we're just going to go to the GitHub for EdgeNode. And we're going to come over to the repositories tab, and let's search for Hermes. And we have this ampersand Hermes repo. Now, let's see if we can get this to work. So I think really the easiest way to do this is, well, it gives you the commands that you need to do. You could do it by actually logging into the machine first and like setting this stuff up. But really, honestly, I think you can really just tell Hermes like, hey, this is the repo that I want to set up. It's going to go ahead and read this README and get you going. And it's going to run this like bootstrap process. And so this is a process that we built into Ampersand, where you have a flow where you can basically claim your agent. So before we get into that, anybody who is new to what Ampersand is you can think of it like an agent kind of control layer for doing X402 payments. And since we, might want to use, we're using X402 for our LLM stuff, we also might want to either make money with our Hermes agent, or we might want to make payments with our Hermes agent. So Ampersand provides both that. It's kind of a wallet management tool, smart account wallet management tool that lets you do that and make payments and accept fees and all this stuff that you want to do. So to get started, we can just go ahead and launch in. We're using embedded wallets, so you'll need to log in with an email address. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we're going to get an email. So we'll come over here and check that email. And it's going to basically give you the flow to log in. And just make sure you have an account. What's nice about Ampersand is it keeps track of all your agents. You can see I have a lot of agents. I do a lot of demos, and we can kind of see over time, like how much we're spending or how much we're earning. And you can kind of dive into these agents and kind of see exactly what's going on. There's a lot of cool stuff in here. I've done a lot of videos on Ampersand in the past, but essentially that's the idea. So we'll kind of dive into this in a little bit. What we want to do is just grab this repo, and let's see if Hermes can set this up for us. Okay, so let's set up Ampersand. Okay, so we're using out of the box, I believe we're using Claude Sonnet 4.6, which is a little cheaper than Opus. And I think it is doing a pretty good job. But when you're setting up the instance, I would suggest either Claude Sonnet 4.6 or higher. If you're using like Gemini or like DeepSeek, there can be issues with the amount of tool calls, and context window is not big enough for these like lower and least expensive models. But the nice thing about Blockrun is it's going to try to find the cheaper model. It's always going to use whatever is recommended unless it's doing something very simple. And we've already configured that. So that might be something to look into if you're kind of doing this. So yeah, it's kind of given us the instructions. So let's just see if it can do it for us. Set it up for me so I don't have to do it. Another trick that I like to do is Hermes is great for like some things, but sometimes Hermes does have issues. So if you run into issues with Hermes, what you can do is on the same machine, you can load up Claude Code and kind of help it debug you. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll kind of like split up my screen, right, like this, and I will go into the same server and just make sure that I have Claude Code running as well, so that I can kind of troubleshoot that. And you can see here that it looks like it's maybe not. Let's see what it's doing here. Oh, yes, I trust this folder. Actually, let me do this real quick. Another little trick is if you do dangerously skip permissions, it's gonna like kind of automate a lot of stuff and not keep asking you for permissions. I personally like to do that, especially on a machine that I know is isolated and I know there's it's kind of okay to do that on. And we say yes, trust the folder. So we'll kind of keep both open. So let's see what we got here. Let's see what it said. So it looks to me, run infos in your terminal. So it wants us to actually do it in the terminal. So what we'll do instead is we'll ask Claude Code to do that. Okay, so we'll come over here and we'll use Claude Code. So you're kind of using like two AI tools. And then once it's set up, hopefully like Hermes is good. So let's say setup ampersand here. See if that works. And yeah, so the idea is that what we're going to do is basically like set up a wallet with ampersand. So ampersand has a smart account that it keeps track of all of your funds, and then you have a signing key, which is basically your agent's key, with this kind of like specialized kind of control of like how much it can spend, you know, what it can do on a transaction level, daily level, monthly level. And then there's a bunch of other cool policy stuff that you can do as well if you pay for it, which is like, you know, making sure that your agent isn't interacting with something that's on like an OFAC list or something like that. Okay, so it wants to suggesting the two-step bootstrap recommended. So we got Claude Code up. It's recommended to do the two-step method. And yep, that's exactly where we want to put it. So you can usually follow the recommended guide here for Claude Code. And yep, Hermes default matches the default profile. Yeah, that's fine. And submit. So let's see if we can get this set up. So it's gonna use the existing config file that we already have for Hermes. Yeah, let's see if it goes. So we'll come back to that in just a sec. And let's take a look again, a little bit more of ampersand. So again, we have this, you have an embedded wallet up here, which is your, you know, has your primary balance. So this is on Ethereum, or sorry, on Base mainnet. So we have $5.08. We could deposit more money in there if we wanted to. We have a little QR code. I think we're good there. $5, we're not going to spend a lot. And then if we need to send money out of the account, you can do that there as well. You can also export your secret key. That's a common question is like, well, how do I get the funds out of there? You can export this and put it in a, you know, a hot wallet somewhere where you just want to make sure you have access to those funds, and it may be a little easier for you to manage rather than using this kind of interface. And then, yeah, the agents. So we're going to create an agent for us here. Looks like it's about to bootstrap it. And so what the flow is it's going to bootstrap there we go. It actually did it right. It's going to bootstrap an AI agent with this URL. And all you need to do is copy that URL. All right. It gives us a public key and an agent name. And we'll just paste it in a new tab here. And it's going to ask us if we want to approve that. Right. And when we do that, it's going to give us this kind of verification code, which I think should match something over here maybe, or maybe we're going to need to type it in. But here we can change the configuration for the agent or rename it if we want. We're not going to do much here, but I want to just enable top up on this agent because I always want this agent to have a little bit of money. So we're going to save that. And we're just going to set the limit to not much because we're just doing a demo here, and we're going to say save. Okay. So we saved it, and we could do like a monthly limit or per transaction limit, but we just want to give it like 10 cents because we're going to just do like a couple of payments, and we could auto collect. So this is a nice feature. If you want to, like, maybe after it gets to like $10 or $20, you want to sweep those funds, you can sweep them into your main account here, or you can have it go to whatever address you want. So if you have like a safe or something like that where you want to put it, you can. You can also do like allow lists and like specify who the agent is interacting with. And you can also publish it to the ERC 8004 registry. So maybe we will do that actually. Let's try to publish it. Maybe we'll publish it afterwards. Let's go ahead and just create the agent here because we can do that later. And this is going to create the agent and approve it. And there it goes. So now we have an agent that's set up. And now we can say, okay, it's approved, finish up. So now it should have saved my public key and configured the batch or the base mainnet for the agent. And I think we should be good here at this point. And that'll be cool because then we should be able to go back into Hermes now and just make sure that it's there and working. So it looks like the URL, yeah, it's still thinking. We'll give that a second. While it's doing that, let's see where the agent got created. So we'll go to agents. And I have like a lot of agents here, but what we'll do is go all the way to the bottom and probably see, yeah, here it is. The very, very most recent one. And we can click on that. And we can see that we have, it's not published to the endpoint yet, but maybe we'll do that in a little bit. It has a top up and stuff like that. And it has a daily spend limit of 10 cents. All right, what does it want to do? Reuse existing, discard new approval. Let's see, this is saying, okay, we'll get discard the, why does it want a new approval? That's interesting. The CLI is refusing to activate the new approval because doing so would replace the old agent. I don't want to force blind. We can just replace. Let's see. That's going to be, oh, because I had an ampersand agent on probably OpenClaw. So we're fine to replace that. So I had OpenClaw on this machine and I did a previous workshop where I showed that. So we're just going to wipe out that one and replace the new one. Because, well, that's also another interesting feature. You know, the key that you're storing on your machine is just a signing key. So technically speaking, you can rotate that key and it's not really a big deal because the nice thing about ampersand is all the funds are locked in that kind of smart account. So now we have the new agent public key configured and yeah, it's setting it up. So this is great. So might just take a second. Still going. So while it's doing that, let's kind of take a look at what we have here. So we can toggle all those settings that we had before and pretty much everything. And then you'll notice down here on the bottom right is where we can add an agent key and then revoke a key if we want, right? So we don't want to revoke that key because that is part of like kind of the bootstrap, but it looks like it's finishing up. While we're waiting there, we can see like all of the transactions from like previous agents in here, which is really cool. You can see like failures. So like this is when we went like over our daily limit, right? And then there's a really cool analytics tab which will show you like spending over time, earning over time, comparison, breakdown, distribution, a lot of cool little metrics as well. And then we just released the marketplace, which is directly linked to ERC 8004. And so we have like a demo agent that you can see that's available here. We have CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, QuickNode, a lot of like interesting, useful agents. And you can essentially, if you have an agent that's giving useful X402 powered data, it will populate in here as long as you are serving the data correctly and you are registered with ERC 8004. And you can kind of start to browse interesting files this here. So it's a great opportunity for you to try to make money with your AI agent as well. Then there's like a getting started guide, which will walk you through how to use it with a certain framework. Like we're showing off Hermes, but maybe you want to, you know, build an agent with LangChain or Crew AI or just a standard Next.js example. We will walk you through that when you click the setup screen and give you this nice little kind of thing here. You can also manage a team soon. We'll be able to like add a lot of people to manage agents at scale. And yeah, let's see if it finished. Cool. I think it's all good. So then what we can do is we have it configured. Now we can try to use Hermes to pay for some kind of service. So I always like to come over here and grab, let's see, where's that bookmark at? There we go. There's kind of like this market mood URL. It's just an X402 endpoint that will give you the market mood. We could also maybe try one of these marketplace ones, but let's see what we can do with this one first. So ampersand is set up, query this, and pay over X402 using ampersand. Cool, fingers crossed. So now it should have everything that it needs. Hopefully we don't need to restart Hermes. Sometimes you need to reboot Hermes or restart Hermes, but we can troubleshoot that with Claude. So you can see this kind of useful thing where we tried to use Hermes. Hermes wasn't really able to kind of do it, maybe because of security settings or something. It wanted us to do it by hand, but we were able to use Claude Code to kind of massage that in. Cool, this is it. Let's see what we got here. So market mood received, there we go. So what's cool here is it checked the ampersand configuration. It found the key it needed. It requested the market mood and it said that it paid $1. I don't know if that's right. I hope they didn't like change the dollar here. This looks like mocked data. Let's double check. Let's actually see. So we're going to come over here to agents and we're going to go down to Hermes agent. Here it is. And I don't think it actually did it. So what we can do is we can grab this address here and let's look on base scan. So maybe it's mocked data or something like that. So here's where the proxy contract was created, but we don't have any token transfers. This is when we funded the account right here, the account with 10 cents. This should be only cost 2 cents actually. So yeah, it's only 2 cents. I don't know what it's talking about. Let's try to debug this real quick. Actually, you did not make an actual X-Row2 payment. Let's see what it says. I always like to call the AI's bluff. That's why we always verify in crypto. Okay, so yeah, it's interesting that it tried to use that. Let's see, unless it used some other key that I had, which is totally possible. I think I added some other private keys here, but we want to make sure it's using the ampersand one. What we can do is kind of see what it comes up with, and then we can kind of like, again, play Claude Code against Hermes until we kind of get it working correctly. The good old multi-agent system. Oh, I said did. You did not. Let's see. See, and what we're gonna do is just I'm gonna go a little bigger. I don't know why it's doing this. This might be something related to I have tmux running on this machine, and somehow it's like saving all this complex output. Let's see why it's doing that. Yeah, that's really weird that it's doing this. Okay. While we're waiting for that, let's come over here and be like, Hermes is not actually using ampersand. And there's no confirmed transaction on the blockchain. Cool. Then I just like pasted all that in. Let's see if it actually pasted. Did it paste? Oh, there we go. It seems like Hermes is actually having an issue. I'm going to restart real quick. So yeah, very, very good strategy is to always have, if you have Hermes, still have Claude Code on the machine and make sure Hermes hallucinated that response. So it looks like it's a transaction. To actually make sure you add the ampersand MCP proxy entry, start the proxy. So let's see, yes, PMEM setup. Oh, so it's trying to fix it. Give it a second here. Okay. So yeah, basically, so again, if you're having issues, just grab the input, give it to Claude Code, and that should kind of get you up and running. Cool. What else can we look at here while we're waiting? Okay, if we come here, we have like kind of alerts we can configure with ampersand as well. So if you want to make sure like when something happens, like budgets are hit, or these are going to be coming soon, eventually we'll be able to hook up to like email alerts or webhooks or Slack, all features coming soon. This will kind of tell us what our wallet address is for our embedded wallet. We want to grab an API key. You can create an API key here by hand. And then if you have any feedback about the product, we would love to get that here. This is really critical. If you had issues or if you find a bug, you can come in here and replace that and put it in there, and that should get you up and running. Okay, so we're still going here. So it looks like it is making sure that the env file, there it goes. So it's adding reloading the MCP server. And yeah, let's see if it works. Still kind of going, so we'll give it a second. We'll grab this URL again because we're going to need that. So over here. And maybe while it's working, let's go ahead and try to register this agent with ERC 8004. So we'll go to agents, and again, we'll go all the way to the bottom. We'll find this agent, and we will come down here where it says, sorry, up at the top where it says publish. And we will call this ampersand Hermes agent. And we can put an image URL. We don't really have to do that. We could do that later. MCP endpoint if you have one, an A2A card if you have one. You can choose what kind of model you want to use. If you want to do attestation, and if the agent is inside of a trusted execution environment, you could attest that it is, fully private in that sense. We'll just do the reputation one, which is the most common one, and it allows people to rate your agent to make sure that you're not doing any anything malicious or something like that. And it's kind of the most common. The next one would be if you were like staking with the crypto economic kind of standard, which is, I think, this concept where you can like stake, and then if you act in a way that is, malicious, you might lose your stake. But we'll use this one. So it's going to take a few seconds for the registry. We'll go ahead and click OK. And while we're waiting, it looks like this is still going, but it's going. Cool. So now it is registered. It says inactive, so it might take a little while for it to show up. Let's refresh real quick and see. There it goes. So it just didn't reload, but it is active. And yeah, so this server doesn't actually have a public internet connection. So, probably never will be able to be reached. But if you are using a cloud provider for your agent, which if you're using ERC 8004, that's the best way to do it. You could, basically say, well, this is where it's kind of exposed at, right? And this is still going. So we'll let that sit a little longer. So while we're waiting, so if you go to ampersand AI, we have like the skill here, which is kind of keeping track of everything related to ampersand. So you can also sometimes just point your AI here, and it will be able to kind of like discover what it needs to do. We have a link to the marketplace there. The docs is here. The docs kind of go through in general, like how to get started quickly. There's an SDK available if you're building on-chain AI agents and you want to use like Google A2A. You can use Python and configure the SDK to do all of the functionality that you get with the transaction limits, daily and monthly limits. And you can hook that up to the SDK pretty easily. And then we also have a TypeScript SDK, which is, I think, let's see if it's at the bottom a little further. Yeah, here we go. Which is more of the use case if you're doing like an agent with MCP access or just a standard web application as well, like HTTP. But this is kind of an example of how you configure it. One thing to note if you're a developer is we have this concept of a treasurer. And so there's two kinds of treasurers. There's like a naive treasurer, which will allow all X-Row2 payments, and the ampersand treasurer. And so you want to use the ampersand treasurer if you want to take advantage of the cost, the transaction controls and stuff like that. All of it will still go through the API, and I think you'll still be able to track metrics, but you just won't get those kind of control levels. So make sure you use that. There's also a guide just how to use the platform, right? And kind of explaining some of the stuff that I walked through. And the OpenAPI endpoint, which is for, basically doing programmatic stuff, using the CLI. There's a CLI available in the SDK as well. Then there's a good section that just talks about what X402 is. and what the deferred payment scheme is, which is was a spec we're kind of working on and is kind of getting molded into the X402 spec, and the ERC 8004, what it is and why it's important. So a lot of interesting kind of knowledge there, and then a full overview of the SDK and stuff like that. So very, very useful. Let's see what it says. Build minimal MCP shim recommended. Sure, it wants to do something here. I'm not sure why, but oh, let's see here. Okay, so still running. I'm wondering if it's going to work. We should give it a try here. Let's try to use the URL. Let's see here. Oh, pay for the market mood over X402 using ampersand. I don't know why it's trying to do some kind of weird patch here. Okay, we'll letting it run. So it looks like it's fixing something with the MCP. Oh, that's not. Let's use ampersand here. Use ampersand to fetch this. So something's going on with the MCP server. It looks like it's trying to fix that. Oh, so it's adding, I guess, an MCP fetch server maybe to do that, and using ampersand to do that. A lot of times, yeah, Hermes and OpenClaw, they love MCP servers. So you'll notice that it will try to, let me close out of this and try to launch it again. It will always try to use an MCP server for everything if it can. It'll even like build one if it has to, which is quite cool. All right. So looks like it is patching the YAML file and making sure that that MCP tool is available. It's kind of like testing it. Let me zoom in a little bit here so we can see. And then it's going to make sure that that MCP, so basically it built like a very high level MCP server, it looks like, that will interact with ampersand. So let's see if that works. And it's going to be called paid fetch, which is the tool name. And it looks to me like it's responding. Now it's just patching the config file with the proper smart account address, and it prints the key there, which is not ideal. Ideally, you want to have the key somewhere in Secrets Manager, but that's okay. We're going to rotate that key anyways. So, okay, it looks like it's almost done. So what we might need to do is restart Hermes one more time. We'll wait till it's done. Okay, there it goes. So let's try it one more time. We're going to load Hermes. And we're going to grab the URL one more time here. And so fetch the market mood using ampersand. Okay, let's see if it goes. There it goes. Preparing MCP ampersand paid fetch. So it's going out, grabbing the thing. Let's hope it works. We can come over here and actually watch and see. Let's go ahead and refresh. Oh, there it goes. Authorized payment, 2 cents. Woohoo! All right, we got it working. There it goes. Cool. So that was pretty cool. So basically what we did is we initially told Hermes, like, hey, set this up. Hermes didn't seem to like to do that. It wanted you to do it manually. So then we used Claude Code to help us do that for us so that we could kind of like do it in real time. And then essentially it looks to me like that still wasn't enough. So what we had to do is basically build out a very lightweight MCP server for Hermes to really properly use it. So that might be like a feature request that we'll probably have to add to the Hermes agent solution to make it a lot easier and seamless, right? So We could actually try to do that live on the server here. Maybe we do that. So I'll open up a new tab and I'll kind of show you what that process might look like since we have some time. So we're going to go to Edge and Nodes GitHub, and we'll take this repository. All right. And search for Hermes. Here it is. All right. And we'll grab this code. All right. And let's check it out. CD ampersand Hermes. And then what I'm going to do is grab like, okay, I'm going to go back to Claude Code here. So I'm going to load Claude Code. And we're going to say like, okay, actually, you know what? Let's just use Claude Code to do it. It'll be a lot easier. No, because that one won't have access. So I'll need to do it myself. So provide me a basic prompt for the Hermes, what is it called? Hermes, ampersand Hermes repo to make this easier for future Hermes agents. Perhaps a lightweight MCP as part of the setup. Let's see if that kind of, because that seems to me like what it wanted. It really wanted the MCP server to make it easy. So just kind of, we'll kind of give this a stab here. If this doesn't work, that's okay. But at least we were successfully able to use ampersand. If we come back to ampersand, we'll see here that it's settled now, right? So we have this payment that went through. So at first it was just kind of authorized, and then what happens is it settles right on the blockchain. So very, very cool stuff. Very, very easy to set up, especially with AI tools. So what we're doing here is just asking for a prompt basically to give this repo to maybe make it a little bit more seamless. So what I'm going to do is I like to use Cursor as well. If anyone's been following me, I use Cursor for a lot of stuff. So we'll load this project in Cursor as well. And oh, did it crash? There we go. I got too many stuff up. Let me close this one. Okay, so we have this ampersand Hermes repo up. So let's see if it can kind of give me an agent prompt. So this is just a prompt to fix the user flow for ampersand Hermes. And I'll just give it that repo just so that it has the context, right? So what we're trying to do is make this easier for the next person that comes along, where it will just automatically know exactly what it needs to do, which is set up a very lightweight MCP server in front of ampersand. So yeah, so what this is going to do is going to give us kind of this little prompt here. And then what we do is we'll take that prompt and we'll feed this back into Cursor and we'll fix this problem, right? So that in the future, this doesn't happen again. So what I usually like to do is just kind of zoom out, let it do its thing. And once that's ready, we'll grab the whole context. There's a lot of context, but that's okay. Cool, there it goes. So we'll grab this and then we can kind of see what it comes up with. So what I like to do is just grab that and be like, okay, we want to make this flow for this easier. And we got this feedback from Claude Code on the fix. And then we can just say like, when we're using Cursor, we can like plan, which would be like maybe ask some questions, propose all the changes, but don't commit to Git yet, right? So we'll try to put that through AI. This is just, I'm just showing you my workflow for like anyone who's like, using AI tools. A lot of times when you're working with AI, you're going to use it to the extent. So if you have issues with something, let's just fix it right away, right? And so we're gonna fix this, and it's gonna kind of go through and check all the code and figure out a better integration, and then we can kind of like retest that later. All right. Okay, cool. So let me stop sharing here. Okay, cool. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this was useful. You got to see the kind of flow of using Hermes with ampersand. A little bit of troubleshooting there, using Claude Code to our advantage to help troubleshoot Hermes. So again, use Claude Code, use multiple AI tools. I think that's like one of the best advice I can always tell people. I mean, I use like 4 AI tools, right? I'm using Hermes, I'm using Claude Code, I'm using Claude Desktop, I'm using Cursor, so use it all to your advantage and play them against each other. And you can kind of see how useful it is to have a couple different or a few tools in your belt when working with AI. And especially something like ampersand, where if your agent needs to make money over X402 or make payments over X402, then it's definitely a great addition to your agent's kind of tool belt, right? So again, thank you so much for tuning in. If you're following along, please subscribe to our YouTube, Edge and Node, follow us and put on notifications for Edge and Node on X, and also ampersand_AI. Follow us, please retweet this video. And thank you so much for tuning in. And I hope you guys found this useful, and look forward to seeing you guys next week. If anyone wants to come on the show, we'd love to feature you. Please reach out and let us know. And if you want to talk about AI, crypto, whatever it is, we would love to have you. So thanks so much, guys, and catch you guys next time.